covering music-related content of all genres, and it filters through Eastern Texas. We want you. Come and talk to me from Texarkana down to the coast, Dallas down to Houston, and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another great episode of the ETX ROCKS Show with yours truly, Boston Chris. This is a Thursday episode, and this is episode number 79. Unbelievable. From June till now, 79. And so earlier this week, right now it's a Tuesday, and we're sitting at the Cajun Steamer in Longview, right there on Highway 259, right by Target. Y'all need to come out here. They have awesome live music. And Kristen Ramsey and Ricky Bailey made something happen. A guy from, I believe he's from Chicago. He's an unbelievable singer, guitarist, songwriter. Just let me tell you something. This guy, his name's Jake La Botz, and I just learned about him earlier this week. And Kristen messaged me from the Cajun Steamer, and she was like, "Hey, Boston, Jake La Botz is going to be at the Cajun Steamer. You need to come check it out." And she's telling me all about Jake. So we had to look him up, and I'm just floored by the show we just watched here tonight. Jake just kind of loses himself in his music and just takes everybody along with himself on a journey through the musical ages. I mean, we're talking about blues and country and ragtime and some gospel here and there. And I mean, I'm just unbelievably floored by what we just witnessed here at the Cajun Steamer. He plays all over the country. We're super excited to have him, and I'm going to turn this over to Mr. D. Scribs, and he's going to interview the one and only Mr. Jake La Botz.
What's going on, everybody? D. Scribs here with Jake La Botz, the one and only. How you doing today, Jake?
Good, thank you.
He just put on probably one of the coolest shows I've ever seen around here locally. There's not a sound like it. So, Jake, where are you originally from?
I grew up in the city of Chicago.
So, Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago, north side of the city of Chicago.
So, what got you started in, music and doing movies and things like that?
Loneliness.
Loneliness?
Yeah. And I think that's probably a common denominator with creativity, that there takes some kind of journey inward. And in my case, I was an only child, and so I got to spend a lot of time alone. And I really like to listen to music, and I like to listen to sad songs over and over and over again. And at that time, I was very much into the Beatles and Bob Dylan and rock and roll. And later progressed and became other stuff. But from really pretty young age, I suppose, maybe like 5 or 6, something like that, 7.
So how did you transfer? Was it always music, or did the movies come first? What made you go on to acting as well?
I don't know. I decided I really wanted to be an actor when I was really young. I never thought I would be a musician. I just liked to listen to music.
Right.
But I did think I wanted to be an actor. And so when I was about 11 or 12, I would go around and audition for little local plays in Chicago. And I realized it was not so easy to get parts in plays, but I wanted to be near the theater. So I bought a secondhand suit, and I would usher at theaters, and I got to see a lot of plays, and just to be close to the stage and be close to the craft of acting and the magic that happens in that world. And then I was a drama major in a fine arts public high school in Chicago, magnet school. And I lasted for about a year in high school, and I liked the acting class. I found it a little difficult to be around actors or other kids who wanted to be actors. A lot of very big extroverted personalities, and I was kind of an introverted type of kid. So I split from school. Punk rock scene was happening. Got into that world, and that was kind of the end of school for me. I did a little bit of college later on, some classes here and there,
So what was your first movie you got to be in?
It was called Animal Factory. Animal Factory was a book by a great novelist named Edward Bunker. And Eddie Bunker was famous for being a prison novelist. He wrote a great book called No Beast So Fierce that actually helped him, I believe, get released from prison. And that book got made into a movie called Straight Time with Dustin Hoffman, a really great movie from the 70s. And he ended up having a very big career in writing books and writing movie scripts. He co-wrote a movie called Runaway Train, and then Animal Factory was made out of this other book. It's called Animal Factory. So that was with Willem Dafoe in the starring role, and a young guy named Eddie Furlong, and Mickey Rourke and Tom Arnold, and it was directed by Steve Buscemi. And that's how I got the gig. Steve Buscemi was he was a real music fan.
Right.
And we met in line for the bathroom at a
Great place to meet,
a party I crashed. Yeah, I crashed a movie premiere for Escape from L.A., a John Carpenter movie, like a sequel to Escape from New York. And long story about how I crashed the party, but I just moved to L.A. and once again, I was in a secondhand suit. I never thought about that since I bought a secondhand suit for that party. It's like a foreshadowing from my childhood to that. But anyway, I invited him out to a gig. I was playing a gig, and cool guy. He came out to the gig.
Wow.
And he had become very famous at that point from Reservoir Dogs and some other things he'd done. And his career was really taken off. And he said, I'm going to direct this movie, Animal Factory, and you'd be really good in it. And there's not a character in there now, but we're going to make one for you. And you play, music in it. So you sing a couple of your songs in it. And so we were driving, actually we were up at John Carpenter's house, the director's house, playing music, because he liked to play blues and stuff. And we were leaving John Carpenter's house one time, me and Steve, and he actually helped me come up with an idea for one of the songs for the movie. We were sort of joking around, and I wrote a song based on this idea, this thing we had talked about. So I wrote a couple songs. The movie took a couple years for it to get made from the time he asked me to do it until then. But eventually it did, and I got my first role in a movie. And then after that, I got a couple more little things here and there, and then a couple other bigger things.
I think I read you were in like Rambo and.
Yeah, I was in the last Rambo movie.
That's awesome. So you got to meet? Did you ever get to meet Sylvester Stallone and stuff like that?
I worked with him for 3 solid months in Thailand.
Wow.
Yeah, very interesting guy. Very creative, very intelligent guy. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But
I think everybody's kind of crazy.
But I learned a lot working with him. He really knows his stuff.
So kind of getting back into your music and stuff. You've toured all over the place and performed around some amazing people like Ray Charles and Etta James, Buddy Guy, Taj Mahal, and many more. So what are some of your best memories of those days?
My best memories really were playing with these old blues guys that were still alive in Chicago when I was a kid. Most notably, Honey Boy Edwards was one. Honey Boy had been best friends with Robert Johnson in the 1930s. And he had really played with anybody you could name from the 1930s until he died in the 90s. And he was a very open and welcoming person. And I would spend a lot of time hanging out at his house. And he would share with you as if you were somebody who was his friend from back in those days.
Right.
He didn't, anybody who came over to his house was a musician like that. He would, even other people who weren't musicians, he'd welcome people in, and his mind was clear as a bell, and he loved to tell stories. And I loved to listen to his stories. And he would ask me to play guitar for him, and he would play a little guitar. So I think like the most amazing period for me around musicians was probably around that time when I was in my early 20s. There was a few guys. He was one. Another guy was named Homesick James, and then another guy I spent a lot of time with was named Maxwell Street Jimmy Davis. And they were like, it's like getting to hang out with your heroes, even though they weren't super famous at the level of like a Ray Charles or something.
Right.
But to me, they were. These are guys who've been making records. Some of those guys have been making records since the 30s or 40s.
And they're Blues Hall of Famers too. We looked that up. They're in the Blues Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah?
So that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So whether playing music or acting, you perform by telling stories. What are some of the differences and similarities with acting and playing music?
Well, I think the common thread is what you just said, storytelling. Mm-hmm. And singing is kind of like acting, and it's kind of like writing a script. It's like a really short script, and you play the main character, or you play the narrator, or you play a couple of characters when you're singing the song. Sometimes in my songs, I'll find that there's I'm singing about a couple of different people, and there could be a different sense of how you embody, different parts of the song, or how you express them. In terms of like the being a solo artist as opposed to a collaborative artist, there's a big difference in that. Being a solo singer, I don't have the opportunity to really communicate with people other than the audience in the creative process. In acting, you're working with a team of people in the creative process. But in a band, you do kind of get that. You have a few people that are coming together to collaborate, and so there's this push and pull and back and forth, and this sort of playing with the space in between the notes, and that's a little bit like the dialogue in acting, where there's this playing with the space and the feel and the energy in between the dialogue and the characters. So the collaborative art like that, band and acting, is kind of similar in some ways. I find that speaking dialogue is a very musical type of feel. The way that a character talks, the way that he holds himself. There's a feeling to it that could be kind of musical.
So do you feel like being in music has helped you improve your acting, or vice versa? Like you acting has helped you improve in some music?
Gosh, I hope so.
Yeah.
I don't really get enough acting gigs to think about it that way. But when I do, I think it does. I did a stage musical one time called Ghost Brothers of Darkland County. It was written by Stephen King and John Mellencamp. And that was very interesting because it was a musical, so it was acting and it was music. It was, it really brings together those two things. And, getting to play with both, having a character who's singing, who's not, yourself. I mean, I would say that actually most singers are playing a character that's not exactly themselves. You're on stage, right. You sort of have a persona that's different than,
like that gimmick,
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, some way to interface with the people. It's
right.
playful or funny, and it's maybe easier to access through having a stage persona. I find it's easier to access through a stage persona.
Like I know me, I'm very socially awkward, so like when I go on stage with my band, I kind of put on this, this funny guy characters because it hides my shyness away. I can be somebody completely different.
Give me a little bit of your stage thing. Let me check it out.
Well, we're kind of just like dry humor, like I just tell a bunch of dad jokes. I mean, I can't really think of an example. It's better when I have my guitarist with me because it's really just me and him. Our banter just back and forth.
I'm your guitar player. Go for it, dude. I'm gonna back you up here. I got you.
For instance, like we dedicate songs to people. Like if we're doing Midnight Rider, I'll just be like, so this song goes out to people that like to ride at midnight.
Because that's what time it is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's awesome. So, man, tell us the kind of motivation it takes to play one gig after the next all across the country. Because that's got to be tiring.
Bills.
Yeah.
That's the kind of motivation I usually have. Otherwise, I'd be laying on the couch right now watching episodes of Man in the High Castle.
Nice. That's awesome. So tell us about.
But seriously, I do love playing.
Right.
When I'm actually, once I get there, and I get to see the people and meet people, and there's some connection, then I feel like I open up, and I do enjoy it.
Right.
At that point.
I think that's helped me too with my social awkwardness because I'm doing this actually as well, talking to people and get to know people more. But anytime we go to places I've never been to, I'm learning to talk to other people, learning they tell me what they think of what I did or stuff like that, or what they think I should do, give me suggestions and whatnot, and it's really helping me relax more and getting to know the people more. So when we go back on stage, it's like, okay, now I know what they like, I know what they're looking for, so it helps me put on a better show.
This is Bobby Claire, and you've been listening to ETX ROCKS Show.
Hello, everybody. This is Rio Wallace, and I am inviting you all to come out to the store Everything That Blings whenever you get the chance, which should be very, very soon if you have not already stopped by. So yes, the discounts are still here. The fashion is still here. The exquisite jewelry, exquisitely priced. Whatever word my Spanish teacher tried to tell me. Anyway, so come on out. We are here from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Friday, and open 10 to 6 every Saturday. So come on out and we will joyously craft you with an outfit that will be outstanding.
So tell us, how you came up with the concept for your Tattoo Across America tour.
Well, I knew a lot of tattooers, and I knew how hard it was to try and play in bars when nobody knows who the hell you are. But what I found out was, from knowing these tattooers, you kind of get known in a world that if they like your music, they play it in the shop. They, back in the CD days, they play CDs in the shop, and they'd have apprentices working for them, and the apprentices are hearing you all the time, and so you become this part of like a nostalgia of this point in a point of their life. So then they carry that nostalgic thing with them to the next shop, and they've got their CD and they're listening to you there, and then maybe they open their own shop and they have apprentices, and those people listen to your music. So there's the music had kind of spread through that world a little bit in the tattoo scene. And a lot of guys in the tattoo scene, they're into music and art and film and different kind of funky stuff. And I'd been in a couple movies at that point, so like Animal Factory was a little bit of a cult, had a cult type of following. So there's a lot of tattooers that knew about that. So, I knew a few guys around the country, and I just said, hey, look, I'm thinking about just stringing together tours playing at tattoo shops. What do you think? And they liked it, and so I put it on MySpace.
Wow.
Yeah, this was 2005, I think, 2006. And suddenly I had all these people saying, hey, why don't you come play my shop? So I did it the first year, and I did another year, and then it kind of took on a life of its own. And people would say, are you going to do it again? And I'd get to know, some of the people, and we'd stay in touch, and have a different guy drop the art for it each year. And yeah, it's a fun thing to do. And it's also, not being a bar,
Right.
it has a completely different vibe. There's no separation. There's no stage and backstage. There's just
You're just
bunch
kind
of
of
people
there, right?
hanging out in a tattoo shop. And a lot of times these guys would do it for their appreciation for their customers. They'd have their family and friends there. So a very homey type of community type of.
So it's more comfortable.
Yeah, more of a community type thing too,
Right.
Which is an interesting way to have an event. You actually get to know people's kids and parents.
Right.
It's a little different than in a bar where you're sort of like shouting to hear somebody. And, was your name Alan or Steven? I didn't hear it.
What would you say was your favorite movie that you worked on?
Well, Animal Factory was great, man. I just felt like there isn't any cooler place I could be in the world when we were shooting that movie. We were shooting in this old prison in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, and hanging out with Steve Buscemi, and was directing it, and learning from these guys, Willem Dafoe, Mark Boone Jr., really super creative people with all these cool ideas. Watching them perform, seeing what I could learn. I didn't know anything, man. I walked in there, it was like learning on the fly, thrown in the fire kind of situation.
It's something you always dreamed of doing too, is acting. So it had to be kind of a realization of that as well.
That's really true. So that was just so exciting, and nerve-wracking. But those guys were so friendly, and it was really like a family type of situation, which I guess often it is on movies. There's a feel, like kind of a camaraderie, a family type of feeling.
I guess that'd be the easiest way to get the movie done, because if you have, any animosity with other people, it's kind of. So, is there anything you haven't done yet that you'd like to?
I I mean, there's millions of things.
Yeah, right.
There are millions of things I would like to do. But not really on the bucket list kind of thing exactly.
Right.
But I feel like every single day, there's so many opportunities to do things that I've never done before. I mean, just think about this. The four of us in this room right now, we're like in this kind of sports bar, Cajun restaurant. Yeah. We've got a TV playing like baseball replays right now.
In the middle of December.
In the middle of December, how the four of us ended up in this room at this time with these Mardi Gras beads on the table. I mean,
and don't forget the ice cream.
Who would have ever thought this was going to happen?
Right.
This is one of the millions of things that I haven't ever done yet. Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating. I mean, and really, it's all day long. If you get a chance, I think if a person gets a chance to have a little bit of space to slow down and actually like take another look at what's happening, it's very bizarre what our lives are like.
Yeah.
Who's showing up? What's showing up? It's actually never same old. Mm-hmm. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. So there's a segment we like to do, and it is called Rapid Fire. Now with so we basically ask all kind of random questions. Now, since it's like family friendly, there's nothing like too crazy we're gonna ask. But we like to have fun. It's funny questions. We give you 90 seconds. Now, we usually have a punishment, but I think for this one, I think you're good, man. Just because that's probably the coolest thing I've seen in a very long time. So I'm gonna give you a break for this episode. So
the next episode, he's gonna kick my ass.
So, Mr. Jake, are you ready for this rapid fire? All right. Question 1. If you could be any superhero, who would it be?
Do Greek gods count?
Yes.
I love these guys. Yes! Greek gods are superheroes. Man, I don't know if I don't think I ever really got into like the whole superhero phenomenon, but I'm like thinking about mythology. Jesus Christ is pretty fantastic.
There you do. That's the best answer.
Yeah, I like that.
If you could live in any movie or TV show, what would it be?
If I could live in it,
in that
world,
yes.
Of any movie or TV show, I'll tell you which one I don't want to live in. Let me start there. Westworld. Have you guys watched Westworld? Have you seen it?
Yes.
It is freaky deaky, man. It is, but it says something really about how things are right now and how people are now. It's a really interesting movie. All right, one that I would want to be in. I tend to watch these horrifying, like apocalyptic things, man. Like Man in the High Castle. Geez, have I seen anything nice and pleasant? I don't think I want to live in a TV show. I just don't want to do it. Do I have to?
You don't have to.
Okay, all right.
So if you could listen to one song for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh God, that's what my life's like already. You should be in here sometime. It's like a loop, man. It's so painful. Everyone knows it's Wendy. No, that's like the worst. When you have Everyone Knows It's Wendy playing over and over again in your head, that is a hell realm. Don't try this at home, kids.
Now everyone's going to have it in their heads after watching this.
If you could collab with any musician, dead or alive, who would it be?
I mean, is Beethoven out of the question?
No.
That's a great answer.
Not that I would want to do that. I think musicians they're tough to collaborate with. Musicians they're a difficult bunch of people. They're like children. I'm a big Bob Dylan fan.
Bob Dylan, Beethoven, and Jake La Botz on the road.
Would you rather be an overweight chocolate addict or a skinny guy allergic to chocolate?
I want to ask you a question.
Okay,
Who came up with that question?
I did.
And what was it that made that an interesting question to you?
It's not interesting. It's
Not
supposed
at
to be
all.
silly, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering if there was like a philosophy behind it. You know, if you say one thing, then we know this about you.
No.
But if you say the other thing,
We send all this to Dr. Phil afterwards.
right?
Just wait till the next question.
I was like,
Would you rather look like a fish or smell like a fish?
I think if I was going to look like a fish, I would want to smell like a fish because at that point I would just be a fish.
I think that's the best answer we've gotten for that one.
Absolutely.
Would you rather know everything there is to know or rule everything there is to rule?
Look at the Grinch smile. He wants to rule.
Now we will do things my way.
Would you rather write a song about Taylor Swift or have Taylor Swift write a song about you?
Definitely Taylor Swift write a song about it.
Right. Would you rather eat 30 pounds of cheese in one sitting or 10 pounds of peanut butter with no water?
Did peanut butter.
Yeah, good. I like peanut. Well, that was rapid fire. He did really good with that. So, Jake, how can people reach you on social media or things like that?
Whatever social media currently exists, I have my name in the mix somehow, and some of those things actually go to me. So try one out. Send a message.
You have a website?
It starts with 3 W's. It has my name after it. So all that stuff on the internet, you know, and the Facebook and everything like that, please check it out. Give a holler. And don't forget to tune into the next episode of
ETX ROCKS Show.
ETX ROCKS Show.
Covering music-related content of all genres and the filters through Eastern Texas, we want you. Come and talk to me from Texarkana down to the coast, Dallas down to Houston, and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS!